Welcome back to home training in the Sunday shift. This is our 5th of 6 classes in this holiday series, and we're using yoga as a method to just help us ground, reflect, and center. Today our focus is going to be a little bit more on abdominal core strength as well as spine health, and just being respectful of our back. And I know a lot of people complain of low back pain, back issues, concerns that way. We can use mindful movement as a way to reduce pain and strain, but it has to be mindful, right? When we go through exercises without making a true connection, we run a greater risk of injury. So we want to be thoughtful and careful and very deliberate on how we move our body. So I think we'll start. I've got the prop of a cushion here. This is helpful if you have a tight low back. You can note that my hips are elevated, which then allows my knees to soften down to the ground, and it gives me just a little bit more space and lift through my low back. Yoga strap could be helpful, and a couple of blocks. Okay, they're $10 for a pair on Amazon. Makes for a great Christmas gift, and I find I utilize them often, and really it doesn't matter how long you've been doing yoga. I think even advanced practitioners find them just helpful to improve their shapes and postures. When we think about spine health, from a yoga perspective, there's this whole idea of prana, of energy that runs the course of the spine from head to tail. That prana or energy is disrupted when we find ourselves with injury or pain, but it's also disrupted when we find ourselves in uncomfortable, kind of stuck positions, probably physically as well as emotionally. But from a physical perspective, if I'm typing over a keyboard like this, I've really disrupted that nice solid flow of energy from head to tail. You know, from our Pilates practice, so that those of you that do Pilates with me, there's a lot of emphasis on the front body being the same length as the back body. When I forward flex, my front body becomes short, my back body becomes longer. When I overarch, my front body becomes longer, my back body becomes shorter. What does it take to create this sense of equal length between the front and the back body? It takes a little bit of awareness and mindfulness, as well as really some physical effort too at times. It may be dropping the rib cage a little bit. It will probably include lifting your lower abdominals in and up, as well as maybe a little chin retraction. Instead of my prana here, that energy is going to be disrupted if I've got forward head posture. I disrupt that nice straight line. So let's get started just with a simple cat-cow. So as we inhale here in sitting, lift the heart, lift the gaze a little bit. And as you exhale, collect from those low abdominals and gently curl yourself back. And we'll repeat that a few times, and notice how the movement of extension stems from dropping these pelvis bones forward, and then the movement of flexion originates from drawing the belly back and gently curling the pelvis under. It's almost as if the pelvis is directing the line of energy of the spine. It kind of follows along. If I flex my pelvis, I flex my spine. If I extend my pelvis, I extend my spine. And then come back down to the center. Take a nice side bend here, one arm up, and just gently let the body move side to side. So that's another kind of premise of our class today. I want it to be gentle. I want it to be accessible to everybody. I do want you to be able to modify. You can skip a pose if it doesn't feel right to you. Good, one more time here. So we can still feel the prana, the line of energy from head to tail, and carry that line of energy over to one side of the room. And we can return it back up to the center. Same idea, arm near the ear, and side bending opposite side. Good. to this. So we'll take the arm down by the side, opposite arm picks up, and then trace that hand torso around and open it up and trace it around and open it up. One more time here. And then reverse it. Carry down and open for 3. Looking down and lifting for 2. And picking up for 1. Good. Opposite side. So find your lift, find the side bend, and then take a bit of your circle. Continue a nice fluid breath, never holding our breath, never forcing a movement. And then reverse. So here I feel quite stable and steady through the hips, through the pelvis, and what's really rotating is this rib cage region that's bringing around the shoulder with it. And then coming back home and returning ourselves back to a square position. Switch the cross of your feet, whether you're on a bolster or on the ground, still good to balance that out. And then bring the hands to your shoulders and just make some gentle shoulder circles here. Just mobilizing, appreciating that range of motion that's available in the shoulder joint, and then reverse it. Breathing there. Good. And we'll add on to this a little bit. We'll kiss the elbows towards one another. Maybe they touch. And then start to lift and circle them back behind you. Kiss the elbows towards each other. Lift and circle around. 2 more times there. Drawing together. Picking up. Good. 1 more time. Together. And lift. And then rest those arms. Good. All right. Drop ear to shoulder here. So just take a gentle stretch for the neck. Very slowly, very gently, drop the chin towards that shoulder. It's probably going to feel more like your right shoulder. I'm going to my left here. And then go back ear to shoulder and pick it back up. Okay? Opposite side. Ear to shoulder. Pause there. And then a small downward rotation so my chin starts to direct more towards the armpit, more towards the shoulder. And then return back to ear to shoulder and pick yourself back up. All right, ear to shoulder again, and this time press the opposite palm away from you. You could start just with the hand down. That'll be an increase, gentle increase in that stretch. Taking the hand off and reaching a little away, it's going to extend a little bit more there. And again, you have the option of just a very small chin to chest, ear to shoulder motion. Good. And then bring it back up. Last time, opposite side. So start with just the ear to shoulder, adding on, gently reaching that opposite hand away, or pressing it out, flexing the palm. And then again, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. One more time. And then return it back up. Just drop the chin towards your chest, square in the center. Pause there, breathe there. And then release. Good. All right. Take your bolster away for the time being at least. And I'd like us just to find a forward hinge here from the hips. So walk the fingers forward, hinge at the hips, and allow the head and chest to gently relax there, but still seek length. So feel like you can create a little bit more distance, a little bit more length as you reach the crown of the head forward, relaxing the hips, and maybe eventually you come down to the earth. Maybe you want a little block support. And you could pause here, which actually feels really well. You could use the bolster underneath your forehead as well. Take a couple of breaths there. Great. And then bring yourself back up to your start. All right, meet me at 4 point. So hands on your shoulders, knees under your hips. We'll visit, as we often do, our cat-cow. When we're thinking about spine health, mobility of the spine is just as important as strength of the spine, pulling the heart forward. As you exhale from the low belly through your spine, gently curling, rounding. Inhale into your extension, heart pulls forward. And exhale. One more time there. Feel the low back, mid back, center of your back pull forward, gaze lifts, and round it all back in. Settle into neutral, and we're going to make some hip circles. So working to disassociate the low body from the upper body, my circle is going to be more low back and pelvis rather than a lot of overflexion of the thoracic. Can I keep gently pulling my heart forward as I make circles of the hips? And then reverse it. And you should feel some nice core action as well, helping to lengthen as well as gently curl the tailbone. 2 more times there. Right. Can you think of balancing something on that mid-upper back? So, for instance, my block maybe would stay stable because I'm only moving from the waistband and below. That's the idea. All right. Take your right foot back behind you. Give yourself a nice calf stretch here, right? It feels good to create length from the heel through the crown of the head. Gently rocking back and forth. And then to carry the right leg to the left side of the room, and then turn the gaze, take a look towards that foot. Breathe into the side bodies again here. And then return the leg to your center, carry it out to the side of the room. Can you still keep the hips square as that leg is to the side? Try it again. Carry the leg across your midline, looking to your foot. And then carry the leg back to your side. Keep reaching long through that sitting bone. Good. Even here, just take a little rock forward and back for a bit of an inner thigh stretch. Forward and back. Good. Bring that right leg back in. Let's repeat that left side. Left foot goes back. Take a little rock back and forth. Now at any time, if you need to come down to your forearms, right? That's a perfectly acceptable position. You could also be on your fists if your wrists are giving you issues. And then pause in the center, carry that leg across your body, and look towards the foot. Breathe into that gentle side stretch. Bringing the leg back to the center, take it in the opposite direction. And you get an idea of abduction, carrying the leg away from you, and then what we call adduction, abduction crossing the midline, looking. One more time, carrying it out to your side. Pause there, try to square up your frame again, hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder, and take a little gentle rock here back and forth. Feeling a bit of an inner thigh stretch. You could do your tummy vacuum, feel the abdominals draw in and up. Awesome. Great. And then bring it back to the center. Take your feet together. You know, I love that scapular stretch, and it's a nice variation here as we release the wrists of strain. Bring your elbows to the block. Let your hips just sink back. Take a couple of gentle breaths here. because we're going to go to a 4-point threading the needle, but I just want you to release that upper body a bit first. And then let go of that. All right, so one more round here. Hands and knees. And we'll take your right arm out to your side like an airplane wing. Drive through the left arm and just pick it up. And then thread it under. Take a little elbow bend. Let's do that 2 more times. Rotate it up. And thread it under. One more time, and we'll sink your right ear onto the earth. So as you reach through that shoulder blade, could you bring your right ear down to the ground? Could you pause, breathe, and be there? And then release. And we'll go to the opposite side. So left arm out to the side, abdominals pulling in, find your rotation, and then find that threading the needle under. 2 more times, inhale and lift, and exhale under, and pick it up, and draw it under, and left ear to the mat, pause there, breathe there. Gentle twist of the upper body. And then release. Very good. Go back to your cat-cows, and then we'll move from that 4-point position into our first down dog. So hands under shoulders, knees under your hips, lifting those abdominals. Lift yourself up into that nice down dog stretch. Shake out the head of any tension. Pedal out through your knees, through those heels. Can you find a clear line of energy? Can your prana flow head to tail even here? And because I tend to be a little tight in my low back, if I bend my knees a little bit and direct my tailbone up to the ceiling, I'm going to have a little straighter, longer line through my spine. If I keep my legs straight, I start to tuck this downward edge of my spine and tailbone under. So I'm going to work the energy of sitting bones picking up a little bit. Some nice deep breaths there. Sitting bones picking up, knees soft. And then lift your heels, bend the knees, look forward, move to the front edge of your mat, and find that halfway lift. And you all know I like our halfway lifts. Last week we worked a lot on halfway lift at the wall. And you can still do that now, right? Like that is just some great feedback of energy from the fingers to the shoulders, from the head to the tail. But you can find that same energy with your hands on your shins. Lightly roll your shoulders away from you, and then drop back into that forward fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Soft knees. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Look to your fingers and exhale, hands to your heart. All right, let's take our traditional sun salutations A, so the first of that series. Starting with the hips, knees, toes forward. Separate your toes. Feel the edges of the feet, so your big toe joint, your 4th and 5th digit, as well as that heel pad nicely centered. So some refer to that as the tripod of the foot, or the 4 corner edges of your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, soften the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step those feet back, and find your first plank. So spinal energy here. Okay? You may be tempting to hang the head. That's going to change the energy line. It may be tempting to sag the hips. That's going to change your energy line. Try to position yourself, front body equivalent to back body in length and width. Breathe there. Drop the knees, and then lower your chest. Nose pulls forward just a little bit, and lower your chest down to the mat. Okay? Low cobra. Pull the heart forward. I like to feel that little lifting of the abdominals, lifting of the ribs. If I get too heavy in my low back, I lose length. So I'm going to focus just on increasing the space, the length of my side bodies, rather than getting too high here, at least for the purpose of today's class. Lower down and repeat that 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders softly back, crown of the head reaching, all 10 toes anchored, and lower it down. It can be really low here. One more time. I should probably go a little lower. Just reach forward, hold your hover. So I don't feel my low back at all. I do feel my low abdominals picking up. I do feel my breath full. Lower the chest back down. Curl the toes under. Press through your 4 points and then lift into your down dog. Breathing here for 3 and 2 and 1. Lift the heels, bend the knees, and step forward, coming to your halfway lift. Forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Sweep the arms overhead. And hands return to your heart. Let's do that again. Inhale, the arms lift. Exhale, forward fold. Be in control of your movements. Inhale, halfway lift, head to tail. Exhale, plant the hands. Step back to your plank. Drop the knees. Keep lifting through your center as you bend your elbows. And then find your low cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under. Press back into your down dog. Regroup here, 3 deep breaths. Feel your energy, your prana, your chi, another name for that. Shoulders gently down the back, lift your heels, bend the knees, step it forward. You know where we're going, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Last time. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to your plank. Now, if you're looking to advance your practice a little bit, you could take this through your chaturanga. We draw the nose slightly forward, bend the elbows, pull the heart forward, toes curl under, and then this would be up dog. Keep lengthening forward and up. Curl your toes under and press them back. 3 deep breaths here. Good. Lift your heels, bend those knees, step it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweep the arms up overhead. Are you still on the tripods of the feet? Right center and hands to your heart. Good. All right, a little balance work here. So tree pose. Coming just to a hip width stance. I'm going to begin with a kickstand. So rotating heel to ankle. I'm still working to keep these hip bones square forward, shoulders in line. Okay. From the kickstand, you could lift the arms up overhead. They become your branches. Can I still direct that support of my spine, abdominals in towards the back? Shoulders still soft, and maybe you could then bring the foot to your calf, inside of the leg there. Work on rotating this hip knee to the outer edge. Feeling good hip strength. Your other option is to use, that's the minute I say use your hand, it's really important to use as much active effort so that we're hugging the muscles to the bone. We're working on increasing our range, not by passively moving ourselves into shapes, but actively getting there. So some would say if I can't actively bring my foot up and place it to that inner aspect of the thigh, then maybe I should just keep it at the calf where it's more accessible. It's all good. Rest the arms back down, shake out that leg. We'll go to the opposite side. So start with just your kickstand. Heel the calf. Find the breath, feel your length. Are you losing that flow of energy by excessive curvature through the neck, excess curvature through the spine? And then work to migrate the foot up. Press foot into calf, calf into foot. That creates some awesome energy. If you're feeling well there, take it up a little higher. Now, it used to be the admonition was always not to place your foot on your knee, that there's too much force there. Over time and through research, it's not necessarily a negative thing. You're not putting that much pressure into the knee. You're still working that upright lift. So I've been a little bit more open-minded about the fact that I can actively lift it here too around my knee joint. Am I contributing to disorder of my knee? Not if my hips are strong enough to sustain this. Awesome. And then let that go. Tree pose. Good work. All right, we're going to now move to our standing poses. I'll use my blocks here for this first set. So at the front edge of your mat, come back to your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Being able just to stand still in Tadasana is a great way to organize the body. To feel the ears over the shoulders over the hips. A little bit of a slight forward energy with the body, little hinge of the body. Not hinging at my hips to come forward. If anything, it's subtle at the ankles. Okay? That's going to make you a little bit more vertical. Once you end up back over your heels, your body does all kinds of funny things to try to adjust. So be in your ready position, which is slightly forward. And from there, inhale the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees. Find your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Take your hands to your blocks. We'll step the left foot back into a lunge position here. Pull your heart forward, lighten up on your wrists, and see if you can feel the length of that spine, space between the vertebra, nothing rounding or compressing, everything just reaching and being supported by the front side, abdominals supporting and stabilizing the back side. Great. Let's take a twist here. First twist, drop the back knee. Okay, so this will be a little bit modified. Getting a nice psoas stretch, hip flexor stretch. Left hand stays on the block, and right arm starts to rotate towards the sky. Return the arm back down to your block. Curl your toes under. Finding lunge. Let's do that one more time. Your rotation, this time with back knee lifted. Rotate. Can you keep your right inner thigh hugging midline? Good. And then return that arm back down to your side. Return your knee to the mat for half split. As if you're being drawn back from your tailbone and your sitting bones. Start to reach back a bit. Pull your heart forward. Bend into that right knee. If you're trying to work a little bit more length through what might be a tight low back. The other thing I like to think about here is shoulders soften back and a subtle arc of this upper back, because it might be tempting to be pretty flexed here. We want to work extension and length, so I'm going to think upper arc of my upper thoracic spine, pausing, breathing, holding here for 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Come out of that half split and take one more psoas hip lunge forward. Ground into that front foot and lift the arms up. Shoulders down the back, heart lifted. Good, let's move this. Inhale back to neutral and exhale, lunge it forward for 3. Inhale back and exhale, lunge forward 2. Inhale back. Good, keep those abdominals gently in. in order to set up for warrior one. So from crescent, pivot your back foot, your heel comes down, and then work yourself up into your warrior one shape, which is heel to heel alignment. So if you draw a straight line from heel to back heel, you should feel like you're pretty parallel there. And then bring the arms up. Good. Now, your back heel is slightly out, your toes are slightly in terms of that positioning. Your heart, chest, shoulders work to square to the front wall. Good. Let's do our cactus arms here. So straighten your front leg, bend your elbows. And then exhale, bend back into that front knee. And again, bend. And lift. Good. 2 more times. Front leg drives you into a straight leg. And you bend back. 1 more time. In here with that front straight leg. So this is a bit of modified pyramid. You may need to close up that stance ever so slightly. Start to hinge forward. I'm seeking a flat back, a lifted core, abdominals as I hinge. And maybe, friends, the hinge is here, right? It doesn't have to be super low. Okay. Find the level that works for your body. Little pencil squeeze between the shoulder blades. A bit of a head ramp so the back of the neck is long. And feel the energy of your hips. That right sitting bone pulling back slightly, left hip bone squaring off center. Good. And then sit yourself, stand yourself back up. Bring the hands to your hips. Pivot that back foot. Moving into our crescent lunge 1 more time. Bend into crescent. Lift the arms up. Let's take a little side bend. Hand to left wrist and just side bend it over here. Great. Back to your center, hands to your hips. Transitioning to wide-legged straddle. So we'll heel toe those feet around. Often nice to have a block out in front. And this is just the transitional counter pose, just to release some of that work. Hinge at your hips. Lengthen the heart, head forward. And then bring your hands towards the block. If you're feeling pretty good there, take your hands down to the mat. And then walk your hands back so they line up between your feet. Gently spin your body up and over. Take some nice deep breaths here. Nice. Inhale back into that halfway lift. And then I'm going to move to the opposite side of my mat in order to repeat that series. So back foot moves forward. Find your halfway lift. Try to create a long line. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And hands to heart center. Good. 1 more time. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, find your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, right leg's turn. It steps back into that long lunge, which is assisting us in opening this front right hip. Then drop the back knee down. Relax the toes. And we'll take that spiral. Okay, so right hand stays on the, I said that wrong. Left hand stays on the block. And then spiral, open that right arm up to the ceiling. Inhale back to your center, curl your back toes under. We'll repeat that 1 more time, a little more elevated position. Again, left hand stays on the block, right arm spins to open. And then return it back to the center. Nice. Dropping that back knee down for half split. Start to traction your hips back. Stay as straight with your spine as you can. Stay as long as you can with your spine, even as you add hamstring lengthening to that. Soften your shoulders. Pause and breathe here for 3. and 2, and 1. Release from there. Curl your back toes under. We find low lunge again to set ourselves up for warrior 1. That back heel pivots, and the upper body lifts. Keep this front thigh heavy, heavy, heavy. Find your cactus arms. Little pencil squeeze, and then inhale to lift, and exhale to bend. And lift, and bend. 2 more times here. Good. Now, keep your cactus arms, straighten front leg, heel toe your back foot in just slightly, still having heel to heel alignment. Straight leg, that front leg feels like it tractions back as you hinge forward. And find the angle again that works for your body. It may be a fairly high angle, it might be a little lower. We did this on the wall last week too. Remember how we were here for that nice pyramid hamstring stretch. So wall, no wall, it's all good. Great. And then bring yourself back up. Bring the hands to your hips. We'll pivot that back foot into your crescent again. Sweep the arms up. Draw the abdominals in. Take hold of your right wrist, and we side bend. And come back to the center. Hands return to the hips. Straighten that front leg. Pivot your toes to the front edge of your mat. Toes slightly in, heels out, lifting through your center. Flat back hinge, so sandwich belly to back. Does the front body and the back body feel long? And then take the hands on down to the ground. Inhale, find a half lift. Create a little bit more length. And one more time, take that deep forward fold. Hands can back up between your feet. Maybe your head is almost touching the ground. Maybe it's not. Inhale, back up into that halfway lift. We'll pivot back to the front edge of your mat. Bring that back foot forward. Inhale, find that halfway lift. Exhale, take a nice forward fold. Padangusthasana is hands under feet. You could lift your feet and take the palms right underneath the feet. Gives you a little bit extra traction. I can inhale, feel a little lift, and as I exhale down, think about letting my elbows bend a little bit. May need to bend the knees a little bit. Let the head be heavy there. And then remove your hands. Bend into your knees. Sweep the arms up overhead. Strong hips can help you find that strong spine. And those lunge positions work the strength of our hips. Very nice. All right. Last series here. We're going to take what we did in standing down to our mat in a prone position. So sweep the arms up overhead. Let's do a little waterfall. So rather than flat back hinging this time, just let your head, throat, chest, ribs, belly, back, roll down to the earth. Plant the hands, step your feet back to that plank. Drop the knees and lower yourself down to your stomach here, onto your belly. Head can be heavy, just let it rest on your hands. And notice how your hip bones feel here. Right. They may not be totally level. Welcome to the human condition. But that's okay. We start to become aware, and we can seek to create a little bit more balance right and left. We're going to start with a baby head lift. So gently float the head and feel a little length. Not a lot of heavy pressure of the hands here. And then rest it back down.
And again, little lift. And lower back down. Think of collecting those low abdominals, lifting the ribs a bit. One more time, find that float, long length. And rest it back down. Take your hands now alongside your shoulders. Same exercise, same pattern, creating lift, creating length, letting the chest float a little bit. Not a lot of hands, you could float your hands here. And then rest it back down. It's our low cobra. One more time, shoulders gently back. Breathing there. Toes stay anchored here. Lifting up the legs is not necessarily a bad thing by any means, but when I'm trying to create length, I find when I lift my legs, I'm a lot more likely to use my low back. So instead, I'm focusing on my abdominals drawing in, my hips gently pressing down and preserving length there. And then rest it back down. Now bring your arms to those cactus arms. For starters, just lift the arms and lower them down. Do that again. And lift the arms and lower down. One more time, lift the arms, core connects, and lift your head and chest. Breathing here. And rest it back down. Let's pick it all up together. Arms, head, chest, float, and lower back down. 2 more times. As we lift, there may be a subtle chin nod, because if I go here, I've shortened the back of my neck. So keeping, but not so heavy that I'm overly flexed either. It's all that front back body working in balance. And lower down. Last time here, friends. Pick up the arms, cactus arms, lengthen the heart. And here, if you're reaching so long through your side bodies that you can float the legs, this is kind of a modified locust position. Feel free to do so. And then rest it all back down. Good. Hands under your shoulders, press yourself back, lift into your belly, and take a child's pose. Adjust the hands to the shape that's comfortable for your body. Breathe into your back. All right, we'll flip this over. So we just worked a bit of spinal extension. We want to balance that out with a little bit of core work as well. We know the two work in tandem. They're friends. So on your back, slide your right heel out. Reach your arms long at your sides and float that right leg. Breathe there, hold there for 3. Here's 2 and 1. Rest the arms, rest the heel, and bend that right knee back in. Go to the left, extend that left leg out. Reach the arms long. From the center, float that left leg here. Hold 3, hold 2, hold 1, and rest it back down. Draw the left foot back in. Right leg's turn again. Take your right leg out long, and this time carry the left arm back overhead, not all the way to the ground, just to a position where you can work to keep your back of the ribs on the mat. Sense a flush of your front ribs to your back ribs, and now lift that right leg again. Hold here 3, hold 2, hold 1, return the ankle, the heel, the fingers. Let's go to the left side, slide that left leg out. Notice we haven't done a single crunch. You don't need to crunch and shorten your abdominals in order to create strength. Take your right arm back behind you. It's just an angle that feels like a little bit of work to keep your ribs connecting downward rather than flaring and bridging upward. From that shape, lift the left leg. Hold here 3, hold 2, hold, 1. It's like reverse swimming. Rest the arm down, that leg comes back in. All right, let's try one more set here. Extend that right leg long. Bring your left knee tabletop. Float your right leg. Ooh, there's some work to be found there. So if I lift that right leg and now I'm starting to bow out of my back, I need to bring my left foot back down and just work on sustaining this core connection. Okay, so you could be your own best teacher there in terms of what your body needs. I've got to work like crazy to tighten up my seatbelt here. With this shape, then my left arm can start to carry back behind me. Pause and breathe for 3. Trying to find a gentle imprint on my low back for 2. And 1. Good. Rest that arm and leg back down. Let's finish this up. Opposite side. Left heel goes long. Right knee floats. What does it take to lengthen through that left leg? Float it up. And then start to carry your right arm back behind you. Always so interesting to feel the difference between the sides to try to restore that balance. Great. And then rest the leg, rest the foot, rest the arm. Okay, let's take a gentle twist. So arms are going to come wide, T-shaped arms here. Let's start low with our twist. Keep the left foot on top of the right, so as you rotate the hips and knees, you're still keeping that left shoulder open. You can look to your left hand. Breathe there, be there. Pick yourself back up from your center. That right foot picks up a bit, we twist, looking to the opposite side, holding there, breathing there for 3. Here's 2. And 1. And then bringing yourself back up to the center. Second set, option, pick up your knees tabletop. Okay? Keep those knees in towards your chest and start to carry the weight of the legs. Now, this might be a place to have your bolster and maybe even an extra block present. If you don't like to take those hips and knees too low, I could just rotate here, pause and breathe here, and this feels pretty yummy. Pretty comfortable just to allow the weight of my legs to settle into the bolster without going too deep in that twist. Good. Use your core, pick the weight of the legs back up, carry them over to the left side. I'm going to see what it's like to take them all the way down to the ground. Trying to keep this right shoulder gently anchored. Breathing there. Just gently softening. And then pick yourself back up. Nice. All right, bridging. So for our bridges, let's start without the block. Arms at the sides, about a fist width between the knees. Find your Tadasana feet, active tripod feet. Press into them and float your hips up into that bridge diagonal shape. It's like a ski slope from your knees to your shoulders. Breathe there. Invite the abdominals in to support the back body. Two more breaths here. And then roll your spine gently, balanced, all the way back. Good. All right, one more set of bridges. This time I would invite you to take your hands, clasp them underneath your hips, low back, just to get a little bit more of a shoulder opener. To start that, shift your shoulders a little bit so they're already drawing under you. And then find, again, strength through the feet to gently press your hips up. Hands clasp, shoulders anchor. Breath is full, and you can get into that deep belly breath here. You can feel your side bodies expand. And release your hands and lower your spine back down to the mat. Take any other poses or shapes you need here. Otherwise, meet me with happy baby. So we're going to bend that right hip and knee. My right hand will find its way towards the outer aspect of my foot. I could use my ankle here. If that foot feels really far away, that's fine. Same thing with the left. And then try to square off your sacrum onto the mat. Rather than tucking underneath, lengthen that spine again. Feel the length of the front body equal to the length of the back body. Maybe a little rock here side to side. Maybe a little playing with extension a bit. Nice. 3 deep breaths. Make those deliberate, make those breaths intentional. It's like medicine for your brain and for your heart. Gently release those feet. Bring your feet down to the ground and extend your legs long out on the mat for your Shavasana. Rest the palms either up or down. Up is considered open to receive whatever it might be that you need, energy, patience. Turning the palms down is a little bit more grounding for our energy, a little bit more rooted. Some days I need to be a little bit more open, receiving more energy. Other days I need to close it off a little bit if I'm feeling rather hyper. So being in touch with what it is your body needs. So take a few moments here. No longer moving, performing, stretching, strengthening. Just simply being at rest, being present in this current moment. You can gently wiggle your fingers and toes. By all means, turn the video off and take a longer Shavasana if you like. Otherwise, bend your knees, find your feet to the mat, and gently roll to one side. And then press yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And maybe here, as you come back upright, just find your hands to your knees, close your eyes, and take a couple of breaths again. That balance
balance that energy of the spine, the length of the front back body, the width of the chest equivalent to the width of the back body. Holding yourself in a way that doesn't block or circumvent what it is that you need. And then bring your hands to your heart. Thank you so much for practicing again with me this series or this class today, focusing on our back, our core, the strength needed to hold ourselves upright, not only today, but throughout our life. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead, from my heart to yours. Namaste. Thank you again. If you have any questions, please reach out. I hope you feel well, and I'll look forward to our 6 of 6 next week of the Sunday shift. Take care.